Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma sarupine avatara varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namo. Om Janani Sharadang Deving Ramakrishnang Jagadgurum Padapadme Tvaya Sitva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Om Sri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Satchit Sukhasarupai Swamine Tapoharine. Good evening, friends. We are reading from Nation Building through Character Building. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Arise, awake, awake from this hypnotism of weakness. None is really weak. The soul is infinite, omnipotent, and omniscient. Stand up, assert yourself, proclaim the God within you. Do not deny Him. Too much of inactivity, too much of weakness, too much of hypnotism has been and is upon our race. Oh, yea, modern Hindus, dehypnotize yourselves. The way to do that is found in your own sacred books. Teach yourselves, teach everyone his real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come, and everything that is excellent will come when this sleeping soul is roused to self conscious activity. From our childhood upwards, we have been taught only to pay attention to things external, but never to things internal. Hence, most of us have nearly lost the faculty of observing the internal mechanism. To turn the mind, as it were, inside, stop it from going outside, and then to concentrate all its powers and throw them upon the mind itself, in order that it may know its own nature, analyze itself, is very hard work. Yet, that is the only way to anything which will be a scientific approach to the subject. Make your children strong from their very childhood. Teach them not weakness, not forms, but make them strong. Let them stand on their feet, bold, all conquering, all suffering, and first of all, let them learn of the glory of the soul. That you get alone in the Vedanta, and there alone. What is the use of such knowledge? In the first place, knowledge itself is the highest reward of knowledge. And secondly, there is also utility in it. It will take away all our misery. When, by analyzing his own mind, man comes face to face, as it were, with something which is never destroyed, something which is by its own nature eternally pure and perfect. He will no more be miserable, no more unhappy. All misery comes from fear, from unsatisfied desire. Man will find that he never dies. From and then he will have no more fear of death. When he knows that he is perfect, he will have no more vain desires. And both these causes being absent, there will be no more misery. There will be perfect bliss, even while in this body. One should live from his very boyhood with one whose character is like a blazing fire and should have before him a living example of the highest teaching. Mere reading that it is a sin to tell a lie will be of no use. Every boy should be trained to practice absolute brahmacharya, and then only faith, Shraddha will come. Otherwise, why will not one who has no Shraddha speak an untruth? It is all a degeneration which has its root in selfishness, that in boarding a steamer one follows the vulgar maxim, Uncle, save thy own precious skin. And in music and moments of recreation, everyone tries to make a display of himself. Is a typical picture of our mental state. Only a little training in self sacrifice would take it away. It is the fault of the parents who do not teach their children good manners. Self sacrifice, indeed, is the basis of all civilization. On the other hand, owing to the undue domination exercised by the parents, our boys do not get free scope for growth. The parents consider singing as improper, but the son, when he hears a fine piece of music, at once sets his whole mind on how to learn it. And naturally, he must look out for an adda, something like a club. In everyone, there are infinite tendencies which require proper scope for satisfaction. But in our country, that is not allowed. And to bring about a different order of things would require a fresh training of the parents. Such is the condition. What a pity. We have not yet developed a high grade of civilization, and in spite of this, our educated Babus want the British to hand over the government to them to manage. It makes me laugh and cry as well. Well, where is that martial spirit which, at the very outset, requires one to know how to serve and obey and to practice self restraint? The martial spirit is not self assertion but self sacrifice. One must be ready to advance and lay down one's life at the word of command before he can command the hearts and lives of others. One must sacrifice himself first. Chastity in thought, word, and deed always and in all conditions is what is called brahmacharya. Simply by the observance of strict brahmacharya, that is continence, all learning can be mastered in a very short time. One has an unfailing memory of what one hears or knows but once. The chest brain has tremendous energy and gigantic willpower. Without chastity, there can be no spiritual strength. Unchaste imagination is as bad as unchaste action. Controlled desire leads to the highest result. Transform the sexual energy into spiritual energy, but do not emasculate, because that is throwing away the power. The stronger this force, the more can be done with it. Of all the energies that are in the human body, the highest is what they call ojas. Now, this ojas is stored up in the brain, and the more ojas is in a man's head, the more powerful he is. The more intellectual, the more spiritually strong. One man may speak beautiful language and beautiful thoughts, but they do not impress people. Another man speaks neither beautiful language nor beautiful thoughts, yet his words charm. Every movement of his is powerful. That is the power of Ojas. Now, in every man, there is more or less of this Ojas stored up. All the forces that are working in the body in their highest become ojas. You must remember that it is only a question of transformation. The same forces that are working as muscular energy will be changed into ojas. It is only the chaste man or woman who can make the ojas rise and store it in the brain. That is why chastity has always been considered the highest virtue. A man feels that if he is unchaste, spiritually goes away, he loses mental vigor and moral stamina. That is why, in all the religious orders in the world which have produced spiritual giants, you will always find absolute chastity insisted upon. This glorious soul we must believe in. Out of that will come power. Whatever you think that you will be. If you think yourselves weak, weak you will be. If you think yourself strong, strong you will be. If you think yourselves impure, impure you will be. If you think yourselves pure, pure you will be. This teaches us not to think ourselves as weak, but as strong, omnipotent, omniscient. No matter that I have not expressed it yet, it is in me. All knowledge is in me, all power, all purity, and all freedom. Why cannot I express this knowledge? Because I do not believe in it. It let me believe in it, and it must and will come out. This is what the idea of the impersonal teaches. To all women, every man save her husband should be as her son. To all men, every woman save his own life should be as his mother. When I look about me and see what you call gallantry, my soul is filled with disgust. Not until you learn to ignore the question of sex and to meet on a ground of common humanity will your women really develop. Until then, they are playthings, nothing more. All this is the cause of divorce. Your men bow low and offer a chair, but in another breath they offer compliments. They say, "Oh, madam, how beautiful are your eyes! What right have they to do this? How dare a man venture so far? And how can you women permit it?" Such things develop the less noble side of humanity. They do not tend to nobler ideals. So I would stop here for today. So let us do the pranam. Om Niranjanang Nittamanantarupang Bhaktanukampadhrita Vai Ishavatarang Parameshamidang Tang Ramakrishnan Shirasha Namami. Om Jathagne Dahika Shakti Ramakrishne Sthita Hija Sarva Vidya Sharupang Tang Sharadang Pranamam Paratatte Sadalina Ramakrishna Samagaya Jo Dharma Sthapanarato Birashantang Namamaham. All of you stay well, stay blessed. Jai Thakur, Jai Maa, Jai Swamiji.